Peace, love, and blessings to each and every one of you. Welcome back to Redefining Authenticity. I am Sheronda L. Barksdale, your life empowerment coach over at Authentically Your Expressions, where I'm helping you live your most authentic life.
And peace, love, and light. I am Kim Martin Raymond, your toolbox essentialist and founder of Redefining You LLC, where I help my clients to realign themselves, mind, body, and spirit. And it is also home of the 365-day challenge, where we are on day 230. Y'all, 230. That's all I'm going to say, and I'm going to leave it there. But before we move forward, I have a special shout out / moment of silence for my cousin. His name is Robert Mike De Niro Newbold, and he is the person who created the music for the beginning of this show, for the
Yeah.
beginning of my How Now podcast show, for my Tuesday segments that I do every Tuesday. And he passed away yesterday. And
Uh,
so, shouts out to my cousin Robbie. Thank you for the music. Thank
thank
you
you.
for the love that you have always shown me. And
Thank
I just pray now that his life and his legacy always be remembered, honored, and celebrated. So, shouts out to my cousin Robbie. Know that every time this music plays, I'll be thinking of
Thank
you.
you. And I
Shouts out.
never met Robbie, but I'm so grateful to his contribution to this lifetime. Because I
Yeah,
absolutely this song can't come on without me dancing. At the beginning, the intro and the
that's
outro. And he
that's
did an
right.
amazing job. And that's how we create legacy that lives beyond us, right?
That's
The
it.
things
That's
that
it.
we
The
leave
music to our
behind.
life.
So we thank you. We thank God for you, Robbie.
Thank you, G.
And
Appreciate it.
blessings. Yes, peace, G. Yeah,
Yeah,
we just thank you. We thank you, Robbie, and you
that's
definitely
it.
hold a place in my heart.
Rest in power, my dear. Rest in
Rest in
power.
power.
Right? Also, y'all, please remember to check out our YouTube channels. They are scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Okay, so make sure that you like, follow, share, subscribe, that you click that notification bell so that you know when we are live. And
Yes,
also send some comments. Let us know some things that you want to hear. Let us know how you're enjoying the show. All those things
all
right
those
down at the
things.
bottom of the screen. And it'll also be a QR code at the end of the show. So be
Yes.
sure that you follow us, see what's going on with us. All right.
Yeah. And let me throw out here real quick. Rest,
Sure.
reclaiming every second of our time, is
Mhm.
resuming September the 7th at 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Y'all be ready because we're going to be doing a book study. I've shifted the group from being book study and group coaching into just book study because we really, I checked in, with the group and they're like, we like the book study. So we're going
Yeah.
to do that. I will be creating a group specifically for coaching. We're going to do some at the beginning dancing, moving our bodies so we can shift some of this
Mhm.
energy, talking about some of the things that we're going through, and getting a little coaching in the group coaching setting. So we're going to do that. But make sure that you visit my website at www.authenticallyyourexpressions.com or visit my YouTube channel at AYE Live. And there you can click my link at the top of my channel and it'll take you straight over there. But join us. Sundays are really good. It's nice to connect.
Yes.
It's
Yes,
nice
it is. Yes, it
and to
is.
do
And
it a
look,
little
this
more.
is, yeah. It is a season of change. We're going to be going into the fall season. And so, some things fall away and new things are to come. So,
I'm ready for the
just be,
fall.
yes,
This
I'm ready for a
It
happy
says
fall,
99
y'all.
degrees today. Not
That's it.
tonight.
Okay. The harvest. That's all I'm saying. It's harvest season. We get into that season of harvest. It's time to start manifesting some of those things that we've been harvesting or we've been planting over the summer
Yes.
months. So be ready. That's all I'm saying.
Get ready.
You're not ready, get ready.
Not ready, get ready.
All right, so let's get into tonight's show.
What?
Uh-oh. There we go.
Hilarious, y'all. So this week we're gonna talk about depression. That's a real conversation that needs to be had because
Yeah.
people are going through it. Millions of people are going through it quietly. Is that surprising? And this is something I found scrolling through Facebook, inspired by Nova Rose. And I think I've used her before, for a conversation we would have. But of course, me and Kim put our spin on every little thing.
Everything.
But I think depression is a good conversation to have. What you think, Kim?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's there's been a lot that has been going on during the course of this year. We have seen death, we have seen celebrations of life, but we have also seen things going on politically, socially, and it has, moved
Economically?
some people, yes, economically, all of those things, and it has moved people into a state of depression. And so it's something that is real. It is something that,
Yes.
has touched everyone, if not you personally, someone in your family, someone, a loved one, a friend,
Yes.
and we don't like to see escalation of that depression because it can lead to
Yes.
suicidal thoughts and things of that nature. And
Yes.
so it's a huge topic, and one that, we don't take lightly, and
At
that
all.
we have family members and people who are close to us who know all about depression,
Yes.
and it's something that we
Her.
definitely want to explore.
Her. At one point in my life, I was diagnosed, y'all, with major depressive disorder.
Mm,
Major depressive disorder. And it took some work. I'm not on any medication for it, thank the Lord, but it requires so much work
yes.
that I don't sleep on people who have it. Medication is necessary when it is. When I first happened, I was medicated kind of heavily too. However, I
Mhm.
didn't like the feeling. It really bothered me a lot. So therefore, that's when I introduced meditation into my life and really started getting in control of my thoughts. What I realized was I was out of control of my thoughts. I was
Right.
letting them run the show. And so I had to tell them, look, Ho, sit down. Sit down for 1 minute so we can live a life. And when you could finally get those tools that you need, that Kim talks about all of the time, the
Yeah.
toolbox, she's the toolbox essentialist, where you find the tools that work for you,
Right.
then you can start combating that depression in the most beautiful way.
That's it. That's it. All right. So let's dive in and talk about this.
Let us.
Okay. So depression doesn't always look like sadness.
Yeah.
We've seen people think about a person like the one that comes to mind is Robin Williams, comedian, comedic genius.
Yes.
Mr. Doubtfire, Mrs. Doubtfire. He played
Yes.
in so many different Jumanji, all the different movies that he
Yes.
played in, and all
Yes.
the roles that he played. And was somebody that was loved. Even I remember as a child, Mork and Mindy, and all of those different shows and things like that. And you know, we would think that he was just a jovial person, always laughing, always smiling,
Yep.
and went through severe depression. And so
Yeah.
it doesn't always look like sadness because at some points we learn to mask it, you
Yeah.
know. But
Exactly.
it says that sometimes what it looks like is lying in bed for hours, even though you're not tired,
Not even tired.
ignoring messages
Hmm.
because you can't fake the energy. And I'll stop there and just, so that way we can talk a little bit about each one of those things. Yeah. You ever had that time where you just get up and you just like, not today. You don't want to get up out of that bed. You want to go from right under the covers and crawl under the bed.
Yes.
We've all had those moments, and it doesn't mean that it manifests necessarily into depression,
Yeah.
but it can be an
And
indicator where hours have gone by and
yes.
you just don't want to get up.
It's one of the first indicators. Doctor's offices, when you go in, even for my children, when I go to the doctor's office, they'll ask me when I fill out forms, does your child lay in the bed for hours? That's like one of the questions on the questionnaire in my kid's
Mhm.
pediatrician. And I've been to regular doctor's appointments when you're doing that yearly exam, and they'll ask this question: how many days a week are you not motivated?
Mhm.
None. Amen.
Right. Right.
That's what I want to say.
Right.
But clearly,
Right.
I'm motivated because I'm doing what I need to do. But that's one of the things. That's one of those key blinking indicators. Like last week when we talked about a car, a vehicle, and
Mhm.
those indicators come up, is letting you
Mhm.
know if you're laying in bed for hours, you're not tired, but you don't want to do nothing.
Right.
anything.
Right. Right.
That's how
Yeah.
you can tell that there's a possible form of depression that's going on with you.
Mhm. Mhm. It's
Yeah,
just not wanting to interact. You're not wanting to interact, and getting out of the bed means that you're required to do certain things,
yeah.
and you just like, mm-mm, mm-mm. So if I stay here, I'm not going to have to deal with any of the tasks that are out there waiting for me. So yeah, definitely an indicator, definitely a red flag. Okay.
Not just a day where you just don't feel like it. This is
Right.
something that's ongoing. So I don't want you to be mindful that we're not saying last week you laid in the bed all day. I might be depressed. No, there are days we just exhausted, and especially the older we get.
Absolutely, absolutely. That was me Saturday. I wasn't trying to go nowhere. Nothing.
I want to do nothing. But if you see it as a habitual thing every single
Pattern.
day, you don't want to get up. So we'll talk about the next one: ignoring messages because you can't fake the energy. Whew. Especially if you're somebody who normally is messaging or scrolling through Facebook, on the phone with people, and all of a sudden you just don't even want to respond to people. It it could be indicate it can be an indicator. That's all.
Mhm. Right. It's like you said, it's like a mask. It's a mask. And that's the one thing about texting and things like that. We can put little emojis, little smiley faces, little things like that to put on airs that we're okay and that everything is all right.
Yeah.
And but the that big indicator is, like you said, just ignoring those messages. It's like that person just drops off. Somebody who's always active, who's
Yeah.
always, usually when you text them, they're texting you right back, or they're responding right back, and then all of a sudden you're not hearing from them. you know,
Yes.
because they just don't even have the energy to fake
To
it,
even pretend.
to even pretend. They can't put up that smiley face. It's just like, I know, I don't want to do anything. I just
Yes.
put my phone on silent because I don't even want to be bothered. That's
Yes.
something going on.
I've known that feeling. One person I don't fake it with is Kim. That's the truth. If I'm really going through, Kim is somebody. Then I'm like,
Yeah.
yo.
All right. Don't make me come to the house.
Is
'Cause I will forget to my. I'm like, okay, what do I need to bring? I'm bringing accessories with me in my
you
trunk.
go order some pizza when you get here, okay? Okay. I have a
Absolutely.
girlfriend who, oh my gosh, she don't care. She don't even live in Atlanta. But if she comes, but her family's from, she's originally from Atlanta, but she doesn't live here. If she comes in town and I don't answer her messages, she comes to the house. I'd be like, now I gotta wash. Now I gotta wash my hands. Okay, fine.
Right.
But those were during the times that that I couldn't even pretend to be okay. And
Right.
sometimes you don't, when you're feeling that way, you don't want to pull other people into that space.
Right.
Well, not giving them credit that they won't come into that space with you, but you feel like if I tell Kim or if I tell this person, they might get depressed too, or they're gonna make me sad, or they're gonna feel sorry for me, and I don't want them to feel that way.
Right. 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 And sometimes you're just not willing to deal with any of the emotions that come with how you're feeling,
Yeah,
whether they're good or bad. You just don't
yeah,
want to have to acknowledge any of that. Right now, you just want to be to yourself. And
yes,
I think that that's part of trying to process, because sometimes you don't have the words, or sometimes you
yeah,
don't know why you're feeling the way you're feeling. And if you don't have the words, you don't want anybody coming and saying, well, what's wrong? Well, what's this? And what's that? I don't want to answer all those
I
questions right now.
don't wanna.
So it's so much easier just to fold into yourself and just be like, no, because I'm not ready to
I'm
deal
not
with
ready. Yeah.
it.
And
But
again,
it's
this isn't for a day or two, y'all. I want y'all to get y'all panicking. This is ongoing behaviors. Sorry, Kim.
ongoing, consistent behaviors. No, you're right. You're right. All right, let's move on to the next one. Not showering because the thought feels heavy. For some people, going in that shower, you're washing away those things or those
Yeah.
feelings or those emotions. You have some people who, my husband included, who like lives in the shower. They live in the shower. If all of a sudden he didn't want to shower, I would know immediately that something was wrong for
Something.
days, because that joker stays in the water. You think I was like, save some for the fish? you
Can the
know?
fish have some?
Can the fish have some? Is there going to be any water left in the house? But it just feels heavy. Just going in there, just getting up and having to try to cleanse your body, or just trying to do anything. You have no desire to do that.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
I have definitely, probably more so. The first time I really experienced this was after Cal passed away. After my husband passed away, we who cares about funk? Who cares?
Right.
You don't
Right.
like the way I smell? Get out. That's how I feel about it. Leave me alone. It's not even a noticeable thing. You don't even notice that you didn't. But one day I show up and be like, "Oh, when was the last time I didn't?" And you have to make yourself because it felt almost everything feels heavy.
Right.
Preparing meals for my children, that felt heavy. Uh, Getting them off to school felt heavy. I did most of the stuff.
Right.
Most of the stuff I did because I didn't want the state to come get me. These my babies.
Right.
But the shower was the least important thing to me at that time. So I understand how depression could bring on that feeling of heaviness, where the usual task feel heavy.
Right. Right. And that, like you said, that's also an indicator of that ability to perform self care.
Tough.
You know, you're wanting to just simply, you know, we want to, wash our body, brush our teeth, everything like that, because we're concerned about our appearance. And when we
Yes.
stop doing those things, those are some of the indicators. We stop weren't, dealing with our hair. We
Yes.
don't care about our, appearance as much. And that
Yes.
becomes a red flag, especially for someone who is, typically a person that's fashionable, or typically a person that's always put together. And then all of a sudden you
All
notice
of a sudden.
that you're not. And you're just like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, what's going on there?
Yeah.
What's happening here? Why is that person always tying up their head? And normally their hair is laid. What's going on? So
Pay
those are the
attention.
things that, yeah, you definitely start to see those signs. So like you said, it doesn't always look like sadness. It can look like some of these things as well. Okay. The next one, Sharonda.
Just you.
Eating too much or not at all. Okay. We know that just some people are just all of a sudden, when you're depressed, some people use food as that
Confident.
that comfort. Exactly. It's that thing that gets them through. I'm just going to keep on eating on. I'm eating beyond the point of being full.
Hmm.
It's almost to the point where you're making yourself sick.
Yes.
And it goes in extremes. And see, that's some things about depression. Certain things become extremes. So,
Yeah.
like I said, you're either eating way too much and you're gaining and picking up all this weight,
Yeah.
or you're not eating at all and you're
And
wasting away.
losing and waste. Oh,
Not a whole bunch of gray area there. It becomes an extreme, and then that's when you notice that something is going on. It's just like, I'm
when
noticing.
I would notice it, when I did it when I was feeling depressed, it'd be eating too much, was eating too much of something specific, which would be
Oh
sweets,
yeah,
because
oh
it
yeah,
it creates that high in your brain that
absolutely.
makes you think you feel better.
Those
But it's just
endorphins.
the rush. It's the endorphin. You're getting a quick rush to your brain, and all of a sudden you feel like everything feels good because I'm eating this chocolate. So at Brewster's, right, they have this waffle bowl, and I like mint chocolate chip ice cream. So I'll
Yeah.
get the waffle bowl with chocolate chip ice cream, and then have them put hot fudge on it.
Mm.
Endorphins,
Yes.
out of control. I'm just high off of sugar.
Right.
But then when you come down, you're looking for that high again.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it. And it's that crash, and that doesn't help either.
it
And it's
doesn't.
like, you just to have no desire to eat because it would require you to cook, or it would require you to go outside. Some people would even have food delivered. But I mean, for those who go out, you just don't want to eat because it's just too much of a hassle to even try to put food together
Put food together.
for sustenance. So you just say, forget it. I just don't want.
I don't
I
want
don't
to
want
do
anything.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll close this out with that last one, which is smiling through it so well that the people closest to you don't even know that you're drowning. See how we said it doesn't look like sadness all the time?
Right.
Sometimes you don't even notice that a friend of yours is going through the worst because they can put themselves together. They can take the shower. They can get out the bed, and they can sit in front of you in a restaurant and be miserable.
Mhm.
And that's why we try to pay close attention to our people, even if it looks like that. The question me and Kim are going to be like, "You okay?
Right.
No, for real. Are you okay? You look good, girl,
Right.
but are you okay?"
Right.
It's us right here. Let's do this conversation because sometimes you have to get to the nitty gritty when you have a friend. When you what they say, always pay attention to your strongest friends.
Mm-hmm.
Pray for them. Talk to them. Check in with them. Because sometimes the strongest people look like this lady right here on the screen. When you're not looking,
Right.
when you're not watching, sometimes that person who's grinning and what you say about Robert Williams, making all the jokes.
Right. That's it. That's it. And it just requires, like you said, it requires listening to what they're saying too. And they say the eyes are the window to the soul. And so look in their eyes. Sometimes you'll notice that even though people are smiling, they don't make eye contact. And you're just like, wait a minute now. Because they know that you're going to be able to see something in their eyes. There's
Yes,
something about our eyes that tell
tell us.
what's going on. It's just like,
Mhm.
okay, you see sadness there. They're smiling, but behind that smile, you see sadness in their eyes.
In your eyes.
Something is not right. We have become a society of masking where we're just putting up these masks and
Yep.
putting on airs because we don't want people to think that we're weak, or we don't want people to think that we need help, or that
Yeah.
something is wrong. So like you said, they'll put on that false smile, and like you said, they'll put themselves together, and then we hear about people who are committing suicide, and you're saying they have everything, look at them, they look great, they're
Yep.
always smiling, they're always laughing, but you don't know what's behind their eyes. And so that's the part where like I said, you have to really pay attention. Sometimes we're so caught up in our phones and so caught up in the conversations and talking about ourselves and things that are going on that we're not listening or looking at the person and seeing that something is
Yes.
not quite right.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a
Mhm.
rough one. Okay, let's move on.
Yes. So y'all make sure if you're going through any form of depression, nationaldepressionhotline.org. There are people you can reach out to. There are resources, free resources. People who will just have a conversation, just one. If you just need one conversation with someone you don't feel is going to judge you, who thinks they know you, make sure you reach out to this outline. I wanted to say that real quick to you all. But if
Absolutely.
you're in a place right now where professional help isn't accessible, you should know you are not broken. You're not broken. You are not glass or something that shatters into a trick. It feels like it,
Right.
but you're not. You're not Humpty Dumpty. You could
Nope.
be. Everything could come back together again.
That's it. That's it. And like you said, you're not in a space of brokenness. You're in a space of repair. When I think about an egg, or when I think about something that's broken, things that are broken can be used.
You could be used.
Okay, I have a friend who sent that to me. She was like, an egg when broken can make an omelet, can be used to make a cake, can be used. So even if you feel like, oh my God, I feel like I'm broken. No, you're just in a space where you can be used to do something different. And so we have to get out of that mindset. Don't think that you're broken. Think that you are a vessel. You are something that can be used
Yeah.
of God. And
Yeah.
so, don't get in that space. Oh, well, there's something wrong with me.
Yes.
Broken glass, when cemented together, makes a beautiful mosaic that is
And I
unique.
love mosaics. I really
Okay.
do.
I love that as well. And so, just think about that. Those shards, or those pieces that you feel may be disconnected in your life, are creating that beauty that is uniquely you. And
Yeah.
so, it's a matter of changing your mindset when it comes to things like that. If
Yes.
you're not broken,
Hmm.
you're not broken. You're being put in a place where you can be used to do something greater than what you think you are.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then again, the next one says you are not lazy. When you get stuck, sometimes you need a moment to grow. Think
Hmm.
about a seed. When a seed is planted, are we saying that the seed is lazy because it's just laying there in the dirt? No, it's preparing itself to be something else. So it needs to lay dormant for a minute.
Yeah.
Think about things that lay dormant in the wintertime. They lay dormant. They're not being lazy. They're
Yeah.
preparing themselves for the work that they have coming up
Yeah.
in that next season of their life. So it's not a laziness.
It's not.
It's a preparation for what it is that you need to do next.
This is a big one of why people do not share that they're feeling depressed. It's because people be like, "No, you lazy." A lot of the people that get called lazy are depressed. They're directionless. They're not sure what step to take, what to do, how to feel, how to love themselves, how to love other people. You see, there's a lot of layering that comes with depression
Mm.
that makes people still, stagnant, not moving, laying in the bed, stink, eating too much.
Right.
And it's
Like you said,
because they're depressed. It's because they're depressed. It's not a form of laziness. Laziness exists now,
yes, it does.
but depression is actually a mental thing. It's what our thoughts have told us about ourselves that we have to process outside of ourselves.
Yes.
Depression likes to hang here. And depression, what I like to tell people, anxiety is for the future. We're worried about what's next. Depression is usually about the past.
Hmm.
It's about what our experiences were from the past. Like losing my husband. There's something that happened. So now I'm feeling sad. It's
Right.
usually depression is usually related to something that already happened to you or you saw happen to somebody else and you're afraid it's going to happen to you. So then you get
Hmm.
into the state of, I almost don't even want to have life because I'm so afraid of the future.
Right.
You're not
Right.
like,
Right. You're not lazy, and you are not alone.
hmm
Oh my goodness. So many times we hear about people, especially when it gets to that space of suicide, or it gets to it comes to a head and they just feel like nobody cares. Nobody, is going to worry about me. Nobody's going to care whether I'm here or not.
yeah.
You have to realize you are not alone. There are other people who are suffering as well.
hmm
And we've been so conditioned to not speak, especially in the African American community, because it's taboo to tell people, to be so open, to let somebody know that you're vulnerable, or
Yeah.
that something is wrong. And so because of our fear of judgment, and because of our fear of people thinking that we're weak, or that we're not people of strength, they'll
Yes.
they'll retract. They'll say, oh well, no, nobody's going to understand. This isn't happening to anybody else.
Yeah.
And it's just because you haven't reached out for somebody to say, yes, this does happen, or to confirm that, yes, there are other people who have those same feelings.
Yeah.
We hear that all the time. Oh, I didn't think that there was anybody else out there. You didn't think that there was. I mean, yes, I know that we're unique as individuals, but you thought that nobody else in this whole world
Right. It's
has
going
ever
through
had
what
the
you're going through.
experience.
hmm
And
Yeah.
it's not until we come together as a community, it's not until we begin speaking out about these things, that we have things like Me Too movements and all kinds of things that happen, because people didn't realize that other people were going through it too, until they opened their mouths, until one brave soul opened their mouth and said, hey, you're not the only one that's experiencing
Yeah.
this.
And
So,
depression is a very lonely feeling. I can remember in my darkest moments, I reached out to several people. Several. It wasn't just, oh, I feel alone. No, I said what I needed. My words were clear, and that's how I am. That's just how I am. I talk, but people, you're gonna be okay. I'm gonna pray for you. I'm losing it in here, and I'm trying to explain to people I'm losing it here, and what my needs were, and they did not respond. Or they
mm,
just said, "I'm gonna pray for you, girl. I understand," and they kept it moving because they have their life going on. The people closest to me, can I just get one day to sleep? Because at that particular point, I couldn't even get enough rest because nobody wanted to help me out at that time. That's why I wanted to make sure this right here, National Depression Hotline, .org is there because you don't want to feel like you're by yourself because that's really
mm,
sends you into a darker space that you probably already are in. You need to be able to reach out to stuff like this. If you have health insurance, if you do, make sure you see a therapist so they could put the things that's here in front of you. Because
mhm,
if you can see it from a different perspective, it starts making more sense and the healing has begun. A lot
right,
of it feels alone. A lot of us do verbalize. A lot of people do say, I need help. But we don't always know stuff like this exists.
absolutely.
There's a plenty of nonprofit organizations in the communities. I know Clayton County has one, but there
Mhm,
are places that will see you for free and on a sliding fee scale. They're called behavioral health facilities. And each county usually has one across the nation where you
Hmm.
can go and you'll see not just a therapist, but a psychiatrist as well and a social worker. They'll make sure that all of your needs are being met, but you have to be able to search for it just a little bit. Just do that much work, and they'll provide everything else and put it in place for you. You're not alone.
That's it. Or
You
if you, like
feel
you
like
said,
that.
yeah, just like you said, if you see it in someone, just make sure that you're, keeping these lines of communication open with regards to places like this, because, you said something critical, Sharonda, when you were talking about, um, you know, making sure, when you're asking for help, it's making sure you're asking the right people, because just like you said, people will say, oh, I'm praying for you, sis,
Mhm.
you're going to be all right, and they're saying words of comfort because that's all they know to do.
That's all
They're
they
not
know.
trained to talk about
When you're depressed, you don't know how to reach who's right.
right, and
I'm
and
sorry to say that. It's just that you don't know who's right. I thought my husband was right, the right person to be asking help
right,
from.
right,
Why wouldn't I think that?
right. And that's the thing. I mean, you're thinking that you're asking the right person, but just like people go to their family members and they, oh, well, tell me about finances and tell me about things like that. They may know a few things, but they don't know all of the things to say. And so it's important that we're reaching out to the right people that are going to help us to
Mhm.
get out of this space. It may, yes, your husband or your loved one is there, and they can give you comfort for that moment and try to give you that hug, and
Yeah.
but it's more that you need when you get to that space of depression, and people who are trained in those types of things are going to know the information and know how to help guide you out of that space.
Girl, it made me think about when people be like, I'm hungry. And what you need is food, but they be like, let me teach you how to fish.
Right, right,
I'm gonna faint while we fishing. Can I have a
right.
little nibble of something first, and then you can teach me how to fish? It's that mindset, you know what I'm saying? It's that thing of
Yes,
people will they feel like they're doing the right thing. They
right,
feel like
right.
it. And then it goes vice versa. Sometimes we're giving people way too much, and they need to know how to fish.
That's it.
So finding that balance. But like you said, trained professionals are that's the go-to. Like Kim said, that's your go-to.
Yeah.
Unless you
Yeah.
have one that is a spouse. Your spouse is
Okay.
a trained
Who's a
professional.
therapist? Right. Right. Okay. And it says you are human, and there are ways to slowly crawl back to being yourself. Okay. Again, we are human beings living, we are spiritual beings living a human experience. So we're going to go through all of the emotions that we're going to go through. And just like with anything else, with any type of healing, it's a process. It's not, there is no magic bullet. There is nothing that's going to happen instantaneously that's going to bring you out of that.
Yeah.
But hopefully along the way you're building tools so that if you feel those feelings coming back on again, that you know where to go, or
TK.
who to reach out to. So
Yeah, I didn't even see TK was on here, right, baby?
yes.
But yeah, that part of even the medications and stuff that the doctors will give you when you're trying to first come out of that depression takes 30 days usually to even really get into your system for you to feel us, any change, anything to shift. That's the only part I used to hate about it was I feel crazy today. My anxiety is at a 1,000 today. What can we do about today? And they're like, you want to talk about it? That was a hard journey, but it's a slow crawl.
It is.
That's the humanness of it all. No light switch. Whew, you feel better today.
That's it. But that's what happens. We live in this microwave society where we think that everything is going to be instantaneous. So that's our expectation. Give me what's going to solve the
Depression
problem
makes you
right
want
then.
that.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
It makes you want to fix it fast.
Yeah. Because you don't want to keep feeling like you're feeling, and
Feeling,
and that's the thing. It's a process,
yeah,
and it's not one that is easy,
yeah.
and that's the thing. But like I said, society is conditioning us that if you take this pill, if you do this, okay, if you cut at this, if you do this, it's going to happen instantaneously. But
That's
we
interesting.
need
I
to
never
focus
heard
on
that
the
before.
outcome. Mhm,
I've heard it in terms of people want microwave relationships,
mhm.
but depression. If
Right.
they out here teaching that out here, I'm knock if you buck
That's it.
for real. That's messed up.
It is, and it's hard to be in that space
Yeah.
You're just like, okay, no, I want it done. You understand that it's well, I don't know if they necessarily understand that there's a process that took you to where you are, and there's going to be a process to bring you out. And
Hmm.
the thing is that as you're coming out of it, taking things along the way that are going to help you to stay out of that space and
Hmm.
not to slip right back down into that rabbit hole. You know?
You be living a new existence that I don't ever know. That depression did not feel like that for me at
Well,
all.
I've not
But
experienced
that,
depression.
but all of them are different. That was a different one for me. That was a new one you revealed to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about how to manage
You got
depression.
me thinking. Wait, gosh, you moving too fast for me.
Hmm.
I'm trying to process.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just like you said, it hits people in different ways.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Okay.
and there's right, right. And then some people are going to look at different ways to mask it. They're going to look at different ways to self medicate.
Okay. 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 Okay.
You know, that's where drugs and other things come, other vices come in
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
they're wanting to mask that, and that's the quick solution,
Mm-hmm.
not to address the problem, but to mask it so they don't feel
Got you.
what depression feels like.
I
You
got you.
know? Yeah. Okay, but like we said, how do we manage it? How do we talk about some
I got you
steps?
right here. I'm reading this one. So create a bare minimum routine. Bare minimum. Bare, like just a couple of things. And it says not a full blown 6 a.m. glow up schedule. We're talking about bare, just three things. Brush your teeth, rinse yourself off, what we call whole bath. If you know what a whole bath is, you know. And then sit in the sun for 5 minutes. Anything that looks like a bare, anything that looks like anything other than laying in the bed. That's what a bare minimum routine is.
I
What you
like
think?
that. I like that. I mean, so you said something simple because it's getting you back into the routine of doing things that you stopped doing.
Yes.
You know, even if it's just sitting there taking some water, swishing it around your mouth, the bare minimum. Because if you can condition your mind to say, okay, I've done something. You know, I was just laying here, but I sat here and I put that water in my mouth and I swished it around. That was something.
That was something
You know,
other than laying.
that's it. That's it. No, I'm not gonna take a whole shower, but I can at least take my washcloth and wipe my face.
Yeah.
You know, or just wipe under my arms, like you said, a whole bath, something like that. Just a little something.
Just five
Sun,
deep
I
breaths.
love that.
5 deep breaths. Just five of them.
That's it. That's it. That brings you back to center. I love that sitting in the sun, even if that means even if you've got a window in your bedroom, just opening the blind so that you can get that light in. Okay, fine. You don't want to go outside, at least go and open the blinds and let a little bit of that sun come in.
Feed
You
them
know?
endorphins, baby. Feed that serotonin.
Yes.
That's how you
Yes.
feed it.
Yes. And I like what it says there. Consistency in small wins builds momentum. Because once you do it one time, you're going to start to say, okay, I think I can do a little bit more this time, or I think I can do this again. You know?
That sounds like the what's it called? Discipline series.
Mm-hmm.
Consistency in small wins.
That's it. That's it. But I like that bare minimum. Let's just try to do a little something. And it's going to take time to do that. You may not do all three of those things. You may, like I said, just swish water around your mouth, and that's it for today. That's it. That's enough.
Mhm.
That's enough. Give yourself grace,
Yes.
and because the healing begins when we identify what it is that's wrong. And if we're identifying, okay, something is wrong, I'm in some type of depression. Now let me start taking some steps to get out of it. But I have to acknowledge that I'm in it first. Sometimes we don't see it.
You don't even see it. I remember
Sometimes we
my bare minimum at the Cal Pass was making sure the kids got to school and home, making sure they were clean and their clothing was clean and they were fed. And that's a lot compared to what this list is saying. It's a lot. However, I was doing so much more before that. I had classes that I had was teaching 5 days a week, and I had clients I was seeing and stuff like that. That was bare minimum for me.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
more scared of somebody being like, she didn't wash her kids, the state's coming or something. I don't know.
right, right.
Yeah.
For me, I think about when my daughter passed. For me, it was, I couldn't go in her room. I found her in her room. I could not go in her room. The bare minimum for me was just being able to crack that door just a little bit.
Mm,
I would crack the door and I'd close it right back.
that bad.
I wasn't ready. I was not ready to go in. I
Yeah.
feel like I could still smell her and I can just, and I was just like, I couldn't. I couldn't. And so for me, those small steps started with me opening the door a little bit, just a little crack, started with turning that knob. Then finally it got to a point where I was able
Ooh,
to crack that door open a little bit until I was finally able to
that's-
step in. And like I said, it was a process. It took 8 months. So when I say a process, that's what I mean. It's a process. It took time before I was able to not just step in there, but to begin to start
yeah.
touching things and moving things,
Yeah.
but it took time. It took time. You see what I'm saying? So, like you said, when we talk about this is no small, this is a very, very sensitive topic that we're
It
talking about
is.
because it looks different for so many people in so many different ways. And so we have to get to a space of saying, okay, I'm acknowledging it,
Mm.
and now I'm going to start taking steps to get the help that I need or to get beyond this point. And that's where you do need people who will come in and make these suggestions because you don't think about all of these things when you're going through
We ain't
depression.
going through it.
It's going to take somebody to kind of tap you on the shoulder and say, okay, let me help you to get up out of here. So realize that it's not something that you can do independently, and that's where those calls come in. You may have to make that call. Just picking up the phone.
Yeah. You're saying that. Just hearing you say that, it made me think just now, realize that my children were that person. What, where they, but my kids can be profound, but no, their existence
Yeah,
created that bare minimum. Because if I
yeah,
didn't have them, I don't know what it would look like otherwise. You see what I'm saying?
right, right.
So sometimes, yeah, sometimes it is that professional. A lot of times we need the professional. I went to therapy. I went to therapy. That lost one. It's no play. But
But you know what?
them existing was like a form of motivation.
Hmm. Hmm. But I think that's where it's also important when we talk about toolboxes. And I would be remiss as a toolbox essentialist not to talk about toolboxes, but about preparing ourselves, having things like that, just like we have like you said, tire irons, we've got spare tires, we've got gas cans, things in our cars in the instance that something happens.
Mhm.
How are we preparing ourselves if something like this should happen? I know we say, oh well, yeah, I'm never gonna be depressed, I'm never gonna have a situation, but suppose you do.
Suppose you
What
do.
is something that you can prepare before this happens? Is there a phone number? Just like when people have ice in their phone in case of emergency, they have people's phone numbers in there. What is something
What
that
you
you can
say?
in
Ice.
yes, ice in case of emergency?
Girl, Donald Trump ice was where my head went. I was like, who we
Okay,
calling?
no, ice. The initials, acronym ice, for in case of emergency. Some people have that in their phone, so if anything happens, people can access their phone and it will call that number for that person. So it's just a matter of, okay, what is something that you can do? Is there a phone number? Is there a person? Should something happen? Should you not be feeling well? Just like you have a person that you're an emergency contact for that. Who is a person just in case something is feeling a little off that you can call, or putting that 800 number in your phone.
Yeah.
So in case something feels weird or off, you don't have far to go because you're not going to start researching once you're in depression.
Yes.
So it's going to be a matter of what can you do to prepare yourself
I
should
don't know
something.
if I told you you're on my kids' contact list for their schools. Because in case they can't get in touch with me, something's wrong. If y'all can't get in touch with me, something's got to be wrong. At least you, if you're in town, Could be
Right.
able to at least get to them. So
That's it. But it's important that we do that. That we prepare ourselves. That we think about those things. We don't want to think about those things, but they're necessary. When we
yeah,
were going through COVID and people were passing away and things were happening unexpectedly, people were not prepared.
yeah,
People didn't have living wills. People didn't have things because they
no,
didn't think, no, that couldn't happen to me.
mhm,
But in the instance that it does, it's so important that we prepare ourselves while we're in a right frame of mind, and while we and start preparing, just like we prepare for death, we prepare for we have prepare for any injuries or things that may happen to us.
a baby
Prepare
coming.
for right, prepare for when you're not feeling well or you're feeling there may be a state of depression. Have a list of different phone numbers, suicide hotline,
Yeah,
depression hotline, all those things. Have those things in your phone and at the ready
yeah,
so that you're prepared just in case something should happen. We have to be mindful. We have to have a level of awareness. I think that's important. All right, let's move on. How to manage depression. Again, let one room be your safe zone. And it says, clean a corner of your room, your couch, your bathroom. Just one space, a clear environment to ease your mind without overwhelming you with the whole house. I can't read a deep clean. That's
oh, I
it.
have mine in the big girl. I have mine on the big screen.
Yes. Okay. And so you said, what's your place of solace? That's what I've always said. And Shamani, that's what I call it, that place of solace. What is that safe zone? Where's that space where you can go and just have a moment to think, have a moment to breathe?
Yeah,
It doesn't feel chaotic. For some people, it's their little prayer closet. What is it? What does that look like for you? Is it your car? Where is that space of solace where you can just disconnect for a minute and just breathe for a moment? you know and that's what they say, you have to clear that area because it needs to be clear, because when there's clutter, you'll focus on the clutter, you won't focus on the clear space and what that can bring, because that brings creativity, because it's open and now you can use that space in any way that you want to use it. It's not designated for anything in particular where you have to worry about accessorizing that. It's that clear space that is yours and yours alone. So I like that.
me too.
So
Oh,
So what does that look like for you? What does that one room safe zone look like for you?
uh, blank completely. Uh,
So okay. It's all right. But just like you said, it's about finding that safe
hold
zone.
on 1 second.
I'm kidding.
This is what I was going to say. My brain, I know something's going on with me when my space isn't clear. That's what I was about to say. Anytime there's clutter around me, that tells me something's going on. So it forces me to address me more than actual room. What's that pile doing over there, Sharonda? Are we ignoring it?
Right.
Are we ignoring something that's on your mind? Because usually the clutter starts here. The moment you don't even notice it out here, it's because this is cluttered. Too many
Mm,
thoughts happening at one time. So I generally, especially my office space, this is where I could probably keep it because I won't let the kids in here, but it's clear because can't nobody come in here.
right.
That's why it's clear. It's what I want it to be. But my bedroom, let's say my bedroom, if I notice that there's a pile of clothes that's starting to build in one corner on the floor, I'm not talking about the ones that are cleaning the basket, mind your business. I'm talking about if there's a corner of my room and I start
Right.
noticing that, I don't notice it until it becomes excessive. That's how I know something's going on in my brain. I could tell it every time. So I don't necessarily have a safe zone, I don't think. Not like I used to. My car, like you said, the car used to be here for me. I'd
Mm-hmm.
hide in the car before I go in the house because I needed to unwind. I needed a minute to decompress before I went and, mommy, mommy,
Right.
mommy.
Right. Like you said, it's finding that place of solace.
Hmm.
And just like you said, sometimes it starts in your mind.
Yeah,
Sometimes it starts with that deep breathing. Sometimes it just starts with standing in a corner, because you may not have a designated space in your home, because every space is filled with children or a spouse or a loved one or something is going on. So it's just a matter of creating that space, and it may be outside. It may be outside on your porch. It may be outside on the steps.
I don't feel safe outside. My children come find me.
All right. All right. But it's establishing that space,
It's a
and you're
step.
going to know what it looks like. You're going to know, and it's going to look different for everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's move on.
Okay. So, how to manage depression? Number 3: use body first healing.
Mm,
You cannot outthink depression sometimes. So start with your body, right? Drink a glass of water as soon as you wake up. Ooh, go figure. A glass of water as soon as you wake up in the morning. I know G is absolutely perfect at that. I'll sip some.
mhm,
That's
mm,
about it. A glass of water, because it does stimulate your body, especially if it's
yes, it
cold. It
does.
stimulates your body to get moving, and water's good for you. Let's just be clear. You're releasing some toxins and stuff when you drink. So stretch your spine. Kim talks about this a lot.
Yeah,
Unclench your jaw, breathe deep. I pay attention if I'm clenching. When I'm clenching, I'm stressing. I'm doing that thing. And something's bothering me. Or play
right.
music that soothes or uplifts, but not
Yes,
necessarily happy, just comforting music. Just sitting and listening to meditation music,
that's
jazz
it.
music. Usually it's going to be gospel for me. Mostly because I could cry then. I don't cry well without that. Once I put some gospel music on, okay, the arms in the air and I'm sobbing. But
Right.
there's so many different types of music, and whatever's uplifting or soothing for you, these are some options.
Yes, I absolutely love that. I'm a big proponent of water too. First thing in the morning, drinking some water, connecting ourselves to the elements, to the environment, to the things around us. That water is coming into our body. Our body is made up of water, but we're bringing additional water into our body. And so there's something to be said about that. There's a connection that's made.
Mhm.
Okay. And then, like you said, stretching, being able to wiggle my fingers and my toes before I even come up out of that bed, just to make sure, number one, that I don't fall on the floor and that everything is working. But also just to stretch, just to, like I said, it's having that awareness of your body.
Yeah.
We always talk about coming, because when you're in a state of depression, or when things just feel like they're not making any sense, it just seems like everything is so distant. And when you start touching or tapping yourself, or you start stretching, you're coming back to center. You're coming back to, okay, I exist. I'm here. I felt like I was all over the place, and now I'm here. And
Yeah.
so just being able to do that, and just like you said, when you start stretching, you don't even realize that as you're going through meditation, and where, relax your face. You don't even realize that your face was tense until somebody said to relax. You didn't even realize that.
Mhm.
So being able to stretch and to breathe, those are all wonderful meditative things to do in the morning. Then just definitely the music. I'm definitely all about that gospel, but I also love a good singing bowl.
Mhm.
To hear I just love the sound of that instrumental, and then that way, I can I can be at one with my thoughts. So I absolutely love the music. I love that soothing sound. It's not anything hardcore with all of these lyrics. Yes, honey, that bowl right there. Yes, yes, that right there. That's me.
Yep.
I love that sound. I love the connection that I make. So all of these things are bringing you back to center. All these things are bringing you back to self. And that's going to help you on that path or that road to coming out of that depression, because you're stepping outside of yourself when you're in that depressive state. And now bringing yourself back. Okay, the music brings me back. Something that I like is something that nobody knows my body better than I do. So let me touch my body, because human touch is powerful.
Mhm.
So even when we touch ourselves, to be able to say, okay, I'm still here. That I'm checking, I'm touching my body to make sure that there's nothing wrong.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know? So that's huge. I like this slide the most, I think. Connecting with yourself, connecting back to source.
Love it.
Yeah, yeah. All right, that's it for today. We're getting close to the finish line here. So
Yeah.
let's start wrapping things up.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, because we're going to be talking more about depression. There's going to be a part there. So we are going to be talking about that and what it looks like. Okay, so like I said, this is a heavy one, Sharonda, and I appreciate you bringing this one to the forefront because we're like I said, we're going into the fall seasons. We're going to start going into the holidays, and that's when depression seems to soar.
Hmm.
And so, it's wonderful to bring this to people's attention so that we can start preparing our toolboxes for those things to come because it's coming like a freight train. People are going through a whole lot, especially in this political climate that we're in. And we want people to be prepared. That's going to be the thing that's going to help us the most.
And like I said, rest, reclaiming every second of our time is starting back in September. So join us because we're going to learn how to rest. We're going to learn more, but we're going to do some book studies and just connect with each other and just have a great time. So that's
Yes,
a
and
good way
again,
to help combat. This is a good way to help combat some of your depression is being connected to communities. So I invite you to that community.
absolutely, absolutely. And again, remember to like, follow, share, subscribe, check out our YouTube channels and stay connected. So that way, we can work through these things together. Okay? And with that, I have nothing left to say, but thank you all for joining us this evening, and make sure that you reach out to us. Again, shouts out to my cousin Robbie as the show is going out. Check out those beats, and just know that you're continuing to create music for your life, and think about what that looks like for you. Okay, so peace until we see you next time, and stay safe, be well.